So here we are through a series of more mistakes. I heard myself saying, "Boy, whenever you change something, everything goes out of kilter and out of sync." So we have been trying something different. So anyway, as part of the different approach that we decided to do, um, we decided that it would be better if I introduced everybody and very quickly, and then so we could move on to our discussion. So I have all the names in my little list here in alphabetic order except for myself. So Alana is the first of my list, and she's in Ireland. And in her business, she supports businesses by creating and maintaining their websites. And we have David Flannery, who's in Illinois, and he creates websites for small businesses. And we have Fred Jones, and we'll be hearing more from Fred, but he's in BC, and he facilitates leadership and community building for youth. And I don't, I just need to look and make sure I know who's here. So um, we have Vivek with us, and he's in the UK, and he simplifies life and business by unifying different technologies and developing software. And finally, I think I have all of us now. Yeah. I'm in BC as well, and I coach retirees who want to create an online business. So there is our introductions for this morning. If somebody comes on late, I guess they're out of luck. so, so, so now what I would like to do is introduce Fred. He agreed to talk a little bit more about something that he discovered last week. He shared a discovery with us. And I actually was talking to my walking partner this morning, who just became aware of it and said, "Oh, I want to know a whole lot more about that Facebook for kids," because she's got grandchildren that are busy. So I'll be taking notes, Fred. So, and Fred is in the same hometown as I am in Victoria. So, are you still in the same place, Fred? How would you like to unmute and come on?
Yes, Luan, thank you very much. I'm in the same place as I was last week, but not the same place as I was the previous week or previous month. I was in California, and then, anyway, I was in Oak Bay, and now I'm in Colwood. You living in Victoria will know the difference between Oak Bay and Colwood, but
Yes,
people wouldn't.
I do know the difference.
And
Yeah.
I'll be next week. I'll be for a few days in East Souk,
Oh,
and then the following week I'll be going to Portugal to
oh, it's coming up really quickly, isn't it?
very much so.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm almost there, getting ready. Tonight I'm doing a presentation in preparation for feedback. Souk, there's
Mm.
a group in Souk I meet with on Tuesdays. So tonight they're going
Mm-hmm.
to give me feedback, so my presentation will be even more polished when I get to Portugal. It's not the same presentation we're talking about today, by any means.
No, but really, really good for you to have that feedback. Wow, that's amazing, isn't it?
Yes, no, it helps enormously. I've done it
Yeah.
before in different situations. Being able to practice and get feedback and prepare for what is to me a very important speech. So there'll
Mm-hmm.
probably be over 100 people or
Mm-hmm.
more in Portugal. So I'm looking forward to it. It's starting to heat up. I feel it coming. A lot of people getting excited. So. and I'm one of them that's excited about that.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
I think the objective was to show today what my granddaughter was doing, and contacted me the Saturday before last and Facebooked me and messaged me, and I didn't expect it. I didn't even know she could do that. And
Wow.
she's 7 years old, and she's in California, and she decided that it was time to do something. Everybody else was doing boring stuff at home. And I'll show you today just the link that she used, and then go into why I feel working with young people is important, and some of the projects that I'm working on, and how I got to this stage that I think young people need to find their voices.
Mm.
And that's what I'm working on uh, as much as I can. So that's what the objective today. So I'm going to share my screen if I may.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And there's the page. Where's the page I want to show you? I think it's this one. And it says share. So this is the, if you can see, it says, oh, nothing really. That's my granddaughter, Rowan Jones Heel, August the 24th at 6:15 p.m.
Yeah.
She sent me something. I asked her what she was doing. Now, this, I was used to this. She has a few people that she's allowed to contact on Facebook. Her
Mm-hmm.
parents monitor it. So there is a Facebook for children, and she's 7 years old. And so she contacts her friends, and I'm one of her guest friends that she can contact. She can't just address anyone without her parents knowing who's on the list.
Ah.
So that's some of what was
So
doing.
so Fred, this looks like Facebook Messenger.
It is. It's Facebook Messenger for children.
Ah. Okay.
Okay. And part of Facebook Messenger is she was just showing me something, and then she started a video chat in the evening. And this was a picture. She can change. This was a picture she took of her, what was on the screen, and me on the screen below, talking to me. But she can make dog ears and cat ears and change her face and do all sorts of things that I can't do, but she can do that. And so she chatted to me for 40 minutes because her father and her older sister were playing a video game. Her mother was watching a TV program, and she was bored. So she thought, hey, what do? I'm going to talk to my grandfather. And it blew me away because I didn't know she could do that. I know she could send me messages, but I didn't know she could do it later. And that really made me think young people today are growing up in such a different world compared to when we grew up.
Where did you tell us where she lives? I don't think you did.
In California.
Okay.
So and I was in Victoria, and all of a sudden I got a funny sound on my phone, and I thought, what's that? And I clicked on it, and there was Rowan, my granddaughter. She was, she was talking to me and showing me all sorts of things and telling me what's going on, and walking around the house showing me what her mother's doing and what her father and sister are doing and what she was doing, and it was wonderful.
Oh, and she was doing this all from a phone or from a tablet, or?
Well, I'm not sure. I thought it was a phone, but it could have been her tablet. She has a tablet as well, which she uses more. She doesn't have a phone. So I assume it was her tablet, unless she borrowed somebody's phone. She might have borrowed her mother's phone, but she doesn't have a phone.
Oh.
But she does have a tablet. And she does this with her friend regularly, but her friend obviously wasn't there. So I guess I was second best next. Although I can't talk to my friend, so I'll talk to my grandfather. So it was remarkable. And again, as I said, this was what really made me think about what children are going through today. And this is what I work on quite a bit. So I say there's a lot of changes. The world's changing a lot. The children are, it's faster pace for them. They're aware of what's going on in the news. You can talk to a young person and they can talk to you about what's going on in politics, and they are worried about climate change.
Yes.
They know all about this stuff. When I was their age, I didn't have a clue what was going on in the world, except what was going on in the street where I played with my friends outside. That's all I knew. But what they know, and this causes a lot of challenges for them, because social media, as they get older,
Mm-hmm.
and they have to learn how to cope with that. You can
Mm-hmm.
say, "Oh, let's not have them use it," but
Oh no.
that's not the answer. You have to learn how to use it and work with it. And
Mm-hmm.
so I have no objections to young people learning how to use this in a proper way, because it's gonna be in their lives.
Yes.
But and that's why anxiety and depression is so much higher than ever. It
Mm-hmm.
used to be about a few decades ago, the average age of diagnosis for anxiety and depression was 28. Now it's 14 years of age is the average. So
Man.
that shows you what they're under, a lot of pressure and anxiety. Say, oh, what's going on? What's going to happen to me? Am I going to get a job? I
Mm-hmm.
work with young people often, and I say to them, they don't have time to be kids, in my opinion, often.
Mm-hmm.
They're too busy doing way too many things. So there's a lot of challenges that they have, you know, and it's overwhelming. So I believe in working with young people in groups and getting them to learn the soft skills that I think are important. What happened, Jack Ma, who is the CEO or founder of Alibaba, is leaving Alibaba, and one of these projects that he's working on is helping improve the education system, because he said the education system is too knowledge based, learning things. Said that what we need is wisdom based. They have to learn more communication skills, creativity, learning how to work with each other, how to solve problems,
Mm-hmm.
because the world is going to be so different when the time they're an adult. I think it was the organization, OECD, Organization Economic and what Cooperation and Development, out of Paris, wrote an article about a few years ago that all the children who are in elementary school today, by the time they get into the workforce, 65% of the jobs they will be doing don't even exist today. So how do you train them for jobs that don't exist? Well, Jack Ma will tell you they have to be wisdom based, learn how to communicate, be creative, say, get self-confidence, say, I don't know how to handle that, but I will give it a shot. I'll try. I don't know how to do it, but let's try. And that is the self-confidence they need. And as I said, the wisdom base that Jack Ma is promoting. And I listened to a few of his talks, and it really
Mm.
resonates with me.
Mm.
So that's what I believe children are facing. And
So, so
the
Fred,
generation
can
today,
I interrupt you for a
yes,
second
please.
and just point up the fact that right now in Ontario they are banning the use of phones and electronics in the school system.
Yeah, and that is one of the things I'm going to talk about in Portugal, is that we say, oh no, we don't want that we're resisting change. We're trying to say, let's take it back to the old way. We like the old way. Let's make America great again. Let's that you cannot resist change. You've got to embrace change
Mm-hmm.
and learn how to handle change. And that's what young people need to do. We can't take them back and say, oh, no, no, you can't use this stuff. I'll give you an example. My son in law in California is an elementary school teacher. In
Mm-hmm.
his classroom, he has three big screen TVs, and they use Chromebooks. And all the children have these Chromebooks, and they work on Chromebooks, and they can see what each other are doing on the big screen TVs. That's an example of what's happening or should be happening. Not take away technology, put technology in and make use of it.
Yes.
Way that's one of my things. It's we're all afraid of change. We're wired that way.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. I mean, we have that all the time. Let's go back to the way it was decades ago. It was much better. You can't resist it. It's happening. Let's adapt to it and work with it. So yeah, good point.
Yeah. Well, and of course, our session this morning is a good example of that. by embracing change and going forward and doing something entirely different, you run into glitches and problems, and
Yeah.
you have to learn to figure out what caused
Yes.
it and figure out a workaround or
Yeah.
whatever. That's the really
Exactly.
the only way that you can go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So what I'm trying to do is all different sorts of programs that I've worked with over the years. For example, if we have 1 hour with children, I've got a program that for 1 hour we can get them just to get them to talk and discuss topics and do evaluations and communicate. So I have over the years done an enormous amount of programs. I've gone to Boy Scout groups and well, they're not Boy Scouts anymore. They're Scouts because there's boys and girls in Scouts,
Mm-hmm.
or 4-H clubs, or sometimes I'm invited to a classroom. And in an hour, you can do something with children just to show how they can communicate and evaluate and get them to talk rather than somebody lecturing them. And those are the sort of programs that I've built up. I have also programs where have over the years done an enormous amount of programs. I've gone to boy. Whoops, I just heard myself feedback there.
Yeah.
And the other what I've just done the week before last was I did at the library a session Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday was still school vacation. So we did 2 hour sessions from Monday to Friday and we work on these projects. Just getting them to speak, giving speeches, giving evaluations, doing impromptu speaking to find their voice and learn and become familiar with each other. I've also got a group that I've been working for 6 years, a club that I run every Friday evening, and I can show you a picture of some of those.
Mm.
There's a group that was a Friday evening group, and you look at the diversity, the different ages.
Mm-hmm.
They're not. This is unusual because in school you're always in your same age. The different backgrounds, you can see they're not all white Caucasians. We have people from Asia, from the Middle East, from Europe. From this is where diversity is strength.
Fred, were you
Yes,
intending? Are you sharing a screen?
I am.
We're still seeing the Facebook
Oh
page,
no.
so you may have to go back,
Oh, okay.
back out and back in again.
It's I'll say stop share and go and share again.
Yeah,
Okay. Sorry.
that's okay.
I'm glad you mentioned that because it's showing on my screen. Now what's seeing on my screen?
We're still seeing you.
Okay, share and choose this one. What are you seeing now?
Yeah, there. We're seeing a very diverse group of kids.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
cool.
So let me
They
see what I
are. I mean, they are. Look at that, and the various ages and cultures, and
yeah,
wow.
yeah. And the other thing I mentioned is there's a predominant of girls there.
Hmm.
There's about 10 boys and about 16 girls.
Wow.
And the girls seem to take to this a lot more. And I'm glad they're finding their voices. They really are.
Mm.
So, but that's one example. It just seems to be that over the years, that's what I've noticed, more and more girls coming than previously, which is, I think, wonderful. So the diversity of boys and girls working together, different age groups, you don't get that very often. They're in sports and in school, you're always in your same age group. And the dynamics are wonderful to see the diversity of backgrounds and ages. And often, there's the same family members. There's brothers and sisters in this group as well.
Hmm.
And that's unusual as well. Brothers and sisters cannot normally participate. So that's what I'm promoting. There
Mm.
is the dynamics of this is wonderful. And that's what should be, the world should be like this. Different age groups working together, different men and women working together, different cultures working together, all working on some common goals that we can agree upon, and let's fix it. That's what I believe is, this makes it possible.
We need that in the adult world, Fred.
Yes, I agree.
Oh,
This is an example of some of the programs that I have. You may see where it says Joke Master here, where my
yes,
cursor is.
yes,
We also have a Word Master. We have a
yes.
General Evaluator. We have a Toastmaster. We have an counter. They have different roles,
Uh-huh.
and they stand up and do these roles during the meetings, and they run the meetings. There's no adults involved here. These are run by children. I
Hmm.
might be sitting in the background, and they might ask me a question, but often they don't ask me anything. Um, they just carry on. They run these meetings and decide what they're going to do and how. I give them a sort of a template. Here's some roles you can do, and they decide who's going to do it and how to do it.
So at the beginning of your facilitation, you kind of give them a list of roles and what each one of those roles does, and then you just step back.
Yes.
Wow,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. And if they ask questions at first, what I'll do, we'll do a dry run and show them. But once that, like on a Monday, in the week before last, on Monday we went through all the roles. On Tuesday they were doing the roles, and they continued Thursday, Friday. It was wonderful to see the progress in 1 week is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a matter of having a template and roles, and those material I have, and I want to share with anybody who's interested in setting up youth groups. If it's an afternoon, I have a suggestion. If it's 2 hours, I have suggestion. Sometimes just show them a video and then get them to discuss the video, uh, etc. Those are the sort of things you can do short form. You can do it in the club. But this is the club that's been going for 5 or 6 years. This is a picture of the room. This
Mm-hmm.
is face to face. But I've also done it online because I think online is important because that's how they're going to be working. A high percentages of jobs are going to be working online.
Mm-hmm.
In different areas, it'll be higher, but it's going to be 30, 40, 50, 60%, depending what of people will be working online in the future. By the time they're adults, they have to know how to do this. So that's why I want to promote online sessions like this. And I did a trial. So I have all the materials. And this is why I was actually speaking to David yesterday on how I can maybe set up my other website that I'm working on to promote this online to homeschool is one of my first targets because a lot of the children that I've worked with over the years are homeschooled
Right.
and they seem to take to it, their parents, because it gives them a sense of community rather than just being at home. So this is where they get to work with other young
Mm-hmm.
people of their age
Mm-hmm.
groups.
Mm-hmm.
So that,
So Fred, I'm noticing our time. We're at
yep.
9:25, and I did. Oh, that's a neat picture.
Oh,
And our futureleaders.ca. Yeah. But I wanted to
yeah. So,
give the other participants here a chance to ask
yeah,
you anything they would like to ask.
yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
So maybe you could stop sharing
Okay.
so that we can
Try and
see who else
try and get,
is.
I have to push escape
Yeah,
and,
there you go.
okay.
So, from the other members in the panel, does anybody have any comment or question they might like to pose to Fred, given what he's presented here? Alana, I see you waving.
Yeah, Fred, I think it's wonderful what you're doing, and I remember you saying that most of the kids that are in your group are homeschooled, and I'm wondering if they have programs like this in public schools.
I've done some work in public schools, but the challenge I've had, and I can only speak about that in Canada, public schools have their own agenda. They have a lot of work. The teachers are extremely busy trying to cope with what they have on their agenda. And we knock on their door and say, "Oh, I got a great idea." And they say, "Thank you very much. We love your idea, but we don't have time." So what I've done is after school, I've had parent organizations, like a parent teachers organization. They've sponsored it after school. So
Mm-hmm.
that has been the most successful is parents of school children trying to organize it. But when you knock on the door of teachers, very seldom. It
Yeah,
happens. It
I
has
can
happened.
imagine that teachers would not have the time, but
That's
if there was
exactly
some
right.
time that kids are willing to spend after school, And if you or other people in your group are willing to get those going in schools, it could be very beneficial for students.
Now, we've got one situation here locally where they do it a couple times a year before school starts, and there is a leadership program in the school. But you have to, when you're in the school, you have to have somebody. You can't just be an adult there. You have to be a teacher, has to be with you.
Okay.
So it's, there's that sort of, you just can't walk into a school and do something in a classroom without a teacher. So if it's after hours, in the case when we had parents, one of the parents from the PTA would sit in the background in the school library while we were doing it. Someone has to be there. We cannot, and you have to have criminal record checks and all sorts of things. So it becomes logistically challenging compared to others. But it can be done, and we do it. But it's not as easy as just knocking on the doors. I got this great program. Everybody comes and says, "Oh, you kids need to learn this. We can teach them." Sorry, it's not simple. That's the challenge I found. But so parents are normally the way, not the school system in general.
Oh, yeah. I see Paul is signaling. Go ahead, Paul. I'm glad you made it in here.
You need to unmute, Paul. There you go.
Yeah. Fred, have you had any success with community organizations? I know that a lot of them provide a place for kids after school and in summers with summer camps and that. Have you done much work with them?
I've got the recreation centers in some cases, a couple of recreation centers locally, Wanda Fuca, because you'll know them, and also Saanich. They both sponsor sessions that we run regularly, clubs. And then the library also comes, Greater Victoria Public Library does. So they ask, that's where I did the session a couple of weeks ago. One in Oak Bay, I've done them, well, again, the different branches. So yes, they are supportive. But again, it's not something, what I'm trying to promote is anyone who wants to do this, I can offer them the materials because I'm only one person. I can't go to all the libraries, all the rec centers, all the, I do as much as I can, but and run clubs. I can only run a few clubs. Already I have so many meetings some weeks that it's crazy. So you're one person. So what I have is materials on our future leaders. Anyone who wants to run it, I can give you the materials to show you how to run it. So if it's homeschool parents, which often organize, I would happily show them and maybe do an online session with them and say, this is how you run them. This is how you can do it.
Okay, I think we need to talk offline about a couple of local organizations that could benefit from your material.
That's great. And if there's anyone in there who would like to run them, I would be able to give them materials and even if, answer any questions, even do a bit of training and say, this is how it works for me. And even set up a group where we could say, all right, you're running the groups. Let's discuss how it's going, any challenges and how we can overcome it. Because it's like anything, you start it new, you're not familiar. But I have got a couple people who are assisting me when I'm not, like I travel a lot. So I'm in California and I'm in Australia. I have people who take over from me and run the groups that I run. So I've managed that.
Right on. Yes, Fred, I have an idea that I'll post to you offline as well.
Okay. And you and I should have coffee soon because
yes, we will do that. Yeah.
Maybe this week.
And maybe if you want to come to this neighborhood, Paul could join us.
That would be wonderful. Yeah.
Right.
Friday's a good day for me if it's good for you and Paul. Look at Friday.
All right, we'll have a look at that.
Okay.
So while we're still recording here, any other sort of questions or comments from our panelists? Fred. Sorry, David.
You're going to get Fred mad at you. Do you have your materials posted on your website so people can download them? Yes.
I have them in Google Docs, and I can give people access to whatever is appropriate. So when they want, I have a lot of information, and I would overwhelm people. I just want to give them what's appropriate to their situation. I mean, I have
Yeah.
hundreds of pages of materials and notes, and I've even created a manual of all the stuff I've done over the years because I kept saying, oh, forget it. But that's overwhelming. But just say, okay, I want to run a program for an afternoon. I want to run a
Yeah.
program for a week. I
Mhm.
want to set up a club. I can send them that material.
Do you have a way of contacting that we could put on the chat? So if anybody
Well,
reads this,
it's actually my website, which I did put up the slide. I can go back and put that slide up if you want.
Our futureleaders.ca, wasn't it?
Yeah, www.ourfutureleaders.ca.
.ca. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right
And
on.
that way they can reach out to me and I can answer any questions and send any material that's appropriate to what they're thinking of doing with young people.
Perfect. Right on. Paul.
Yeah, Fred, one quick question. Do you think that there's an opportunity to have, say, one physical meeting to get this organized and then run it as an offline club? I'm thinking of in a particular community, the James Bay area in Victoria, we could certainly, there's a meeting space we could use. And then it would be like when kids come home from school, parents would be sort of confident that what their kids are doing between the hours of when they're out of school and when the parents get home. Is that a concept that you think is viable?
Oh, I'd love to discuss that, Paul. Really would. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. So if coffee's on for Lola Ann and you on Friday, we could maybe discuss it. I'll be in Victoria on Friday, so have a look and see. If not this Friday.
Right after I have my meeting with Alana.
Okay. We'll see what time might suit. I do have a session this Friday in the evening with it's starting up after the Friday.
Mhm.
That club that I showed you with them all, they meet this Friday after summer break.
So I'm looking, we're a little bit over, and obviously our plan was to record for 30 minutes and then stay on for another 30 minutes so that we can really dive into some things. The after show seems to be where all the great stuff begins to happen. So I would like to thank you, Fred. First of all, thank you for what you're doing. I think it is so worthwhile what you're doing. And thank you for being willing to share what you're doing with us. I really appreciate that. You got buttonholed to do the first group thing that we decided to do a change in. So I appreciate that as well. So unless somebody has a really important parting comment, I would remind us that it's important to do what you love with passion. And we shall see you next week. Bye for now.